Before the year 2020, many of us would have been hard-pressed to imagine so much of our lives revolving around webcams. We're checking in with the family on webcam, we're hanging out with friends on webcam, we're performing vital work functions over webcam. For many people, just the thought of turning that camera on fills them with dread. But if we approach camera anxiety as another form of stage fright, we can find some solutions to help work through it. So I'm Derek, I've been drawn poorly, and today we're talking Skype stage fright. You may notice that I am not on a camera. Now this is a workflow and environmental issue. It's simply easier for me to produce regular content in this manner than trying to create a functional studio space. But I have been in front of the camera many times before, and like many of you who have been working from home, video conferencing is a regular part of my job now. So I know coworkers having to deal with the Skype stage fright. Sidebar, I know Skype is like barely a thing now, but it's such a nice little near rhyme, isn't it? It's not t-shirt worthy, but I like it. Speaking of likes, go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button down there now, just in case it turns out that you're on a hidden camera show and the prank distracts you before you can get to it. This is, after all, the channel for theater kids of all ages and the people who tolerate them. The fear of being on camera, the fear of being on stage, the fear of speaking in front of people. These are all common sources of anxiety, and it's easy for someone to look at a performer of any kind and feel envy that they don't seem to suffer from it. But that's not entirely true. Most performers have simply discovered how to either overcome those anxieties or channel them in a productive way. So here are 4 tips for dealing with webcam-induced stage fright. And none of them involve imagining anyone in their underwear, because on a webcam, that might already be true. Tip 1, be prepared. Just as you're not stepping out in front of an audience without copious amounts of rehearsal, do not hop onto your video call without knowing what you have to talk about during the session. If you have to give a presentation over the webcam, practice it in front of the mirror or with a friend. If you're just having a friendly conversation, know some of the topics you were looking forward to touching on. Go ahead and make a cheat sheet. You can jot notes on a physical notepad, like maybe this swell journal right here on sale now, or have an open document on the screen next to the video call. And while you're preparing, find your off-ramps. Have you ever had the sensation that you've been talking too long? Either while giving a presentation or even just in a conversation, you've been talking and the audience hasn't stopped you and isn't really offering much feedback, that they're still listening. That's my life every week on here. I feel like I'm yammering on from her to eternity. But when you add in the fact that body language is harder to read on a screen, and that your audience is likely muted, and that there is probably latency between when you speak and when it is heard, that feeling is amplified when you're on a video call. It may be tempting to fill that space with more words, but find your off-ramp. Know where you can cut off organically and check for understanding or feedback. Then either hop back into it, or if it's really not working, just land the plane there and move on. Because they don't know what they don't know. This phrase came to me from a vocal coach, and it's a very liberating concept. If you mess up a line or forget a lyric or fudge an interval, it's okay, because the audience is not following along in the book. If your stage fright comes from a fear that you'll mess up, this is your absolution. A flubbed line or awkward improv is not a mistake. It is just how the play is tonight. A forgotten lyric is not the end of the world. It's just how the song sounded tonight. A slide chair malfunction is not cause for alarm. It's just how the presentation went today. It's like Kintsugi, where the broken part makes the piece special. Do not worry about what happened before the video call, or what will happen after, or what's going on in the next room. The other participants in the call don't know what they don't know. And finally, audience dissolving and audience removing. For some people, it's easier to talk to one person than to a group, But for others, it's actually far easier to perform for a larger crowd than a small one. So this is really a matter of preference, but there are ways to adjust the size of the audience you have to speak to when on a webcam. They're actually much easier than when you're dealing with it from the stage. Firstly, on the software itself, you should have some degree of control over how many people you see at a time. And if you're using a desktop, you can even turn the monitor down or off completely, or manipulate your viewing field. And because, again, they don't know what they don't know, you can place a photo beyond the webcam itself of someone you feel calm talking to, or even a large, indescript crowd. I hate to break it to anyone who didn't know, but you're not all Courtney Cox in a Bruce Springsteen video out there. Audience members tend to blend together beyond a certain point, so it might make them less imposing to speak to. Go ahead and give it a try. Those were 4 tips on dealing with stage fright as it relates to webcam anxiety. Share your own tips down in the comment section below, and thanks for watching. Take a moment to share this with anyone you know that's struggling with stage fright, because next we're going to move away from the computer over to the boards to talk about how to prepare for auditions as theaters reopen. So peace and all good.